no ceasefire for the next 2, 3, 4 weeks, things will get worse, and another round of violence will even create more destruction. So my question is, brother, how do you see the risk of regional escalation of the war? What is your assessment in this? And the second question is, what additional roles can regional countries, including us, can play on this issue?
We have to realize that there is a personal interest for the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu to continue the war in Gaza. He knows that, the moment that the war ends, there are 4 cases of corruption waiting for him. The moment the war ends, he has to take responsibility for what happened, because there will be an investigation that will look into who's responsible for the October 7th. The moment the war ends, then there might be an internal revolt within the Likud about leadership. Netanyahu knows that, ending the war and that reaching a ceasefire is not good for him. That will be detrimental for him, could be the end of his political career. So it's very clear that Netanyahu is not waging a war, of revenge, but also waging the war for his own political, career, for his own personal sake. And he's taking Israel, all of Israel together, hostage. He's taking the Palestinians hostage. He's taking the whole region hostage for his own personal interests. And it seems right now, within Israel proper, people and leaders are becoming aware that that's really the objective. Look what's happening. Every day we hear that Netanyahu, in terms of the negotiations for reaching a deal for the release of hostages in exchange of Palestinian prisoners, the entry of aid, etc., we always hear that Netanyahu is putting hurdles every time. He's not allowing his team to go. He's trying to downgrade the level of participation of his team. He's always putting hurdles, new hurdles after hurdles, in order not to reach an agreement, because he knows the moment that agreement is being reached, it will be translated into a ceasefire. That ceasefire will mean probably the ending of the war. And then he has to face the consequences of that. Now, at the same time, he believes that, it's very important to prolong the war as much as possible, and also to extend the war as much as possible. And that's why, he is very much interested to see a spillover into the West Bank. And we see that through military incursions on a daily basis in the Palestinian cities, villages, refugee camps, settler violence and settler terrorism, and also Haram al-Sharif, who puts al-Masjid al-Aqsa incursions on a daily basis. But also, we see that in south of Lebanon. And it seems that right now he is very much eager also to open that front in South Lebanon. And if the South Lebanon front is open, then front in Syria will be open, front in Iraq will be open, front in Iran will be open. Meaning that, he is very much interested in transforming this war against Gaza into a regional war. Believe me, he is seeking a regional war. And he wants to drag the Americans into such war. He wants to bring them in. Because, he wants the only way for him to survive personally, and the only way for Israel to see that the whole regional war is an existential war for the state of Israel, in this case only he sees his personal salvation. And so he will take us into regional war because Netanyahu wants to salvage his own face. And this is very dangerous. That's why if there is a problem today in the region, that problem has a name, and that name is called Benjamin Netanyahu. We have to be careful about it, and we have to take all precautionary measures before it's becoming too late.
Well, I really thank you, both of you, and for your opening statements and answers. I would like to turn to the floor for their comments and questions. Any comments, questions? Please, you first. Please also identify yourself.
Okay, I am Dilara, and firstly I would like to thank to all of you for the perfect contributions. My question is actually general. As you know, there is such an hostility between all countries, and we also give importance, and we also give example for this, like Ukraine and Russia. There is an ethnic hostility between from these countries from the past, and it's still going in today. But there is also still ethnic conflict between the Palestinian and Israel from the past, and it still continues. But when we compare and when we examine the situation, we see that the governments in the West, when there is such a case event and come through, they said that it is very much hurtful and it should be prevented. And there is such a case. I mean, the government in the West, when there is such an event happen and come through, they said that it shouldn't be. But when there is such an event come through when between Palestine and Israel, they shouldn't do anything. Why this is the case? I mean, when we compare this situation, this is so similar between each other, but there is no such a huge activities coming from the West. What do you think about this? Thank you for your answer for this.
Would you like to answer the young lady's question?
I'd like to give you the opportunity, but I'll certainly, this only reinforces that there's a double standard, that there's an erosion of the mechanisms that have been put in place since World War II to deal with international relations, and that there is a lack of a moral justification, undoubtedly, when there is a reluctance to call for a ceasefire, when there is a inability to define what is happening for what it is, when there is 30,000 counting, when we continue to count casualties among women and children and civilians, and there is no indignation and outrage, when there is lack of empathy in one case and excessive solidarity with another. This is all the erosion of the credibility of the world rule-based order and a selectivity depending on affiliation, depending on political interests. And this is a very dangerous situation that will have ramifications and will lead to a lack of understanding, a lack of ability to resolve issues, whether political issues or whether issues of a more general nature, climate change, the challenges associated with climate change, and all other multilateral situations, because the sense of injustice and lack of consistency will always cast shadows of doubt on the justifications and the motivations that are governing state relations.
Thank you. Before receiving further questions, I'd like to, we have two distinguished guests together with us today. Ambassador Samir Bekir Diab, Assistant Secretary General of the OIC for Palestine and Al-Qudus Affairs, and Ambassador Hussam Zeki is with us too. He is the Assistant Secretary General of the League of Arab States. I'd like to give the floor to them for their comments, if they have any. Where is the mic? Yeah, would you like to make any comments? Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Minister. Of course, I'm honored to be here and to deliver any comment on the presentation that we've just heard from the distinguished ministers. But we do stand together. We are all in one camp, and we do have similar thoughts on what is happening. We, in the organization of the Arab League, we try as much as possible to make the world aware of all what is happening in Gaza, because it is not in the interest of stability and peace in our region, of course. And the very last point that Minister Maliki referred to is extremely important, which is widening the war and the dangers of widening the war and making it or transforming it into a regional war is, of course, an idea that we are pursuing all the time with our international interlocutors. We do hope that the United States and other capitals in the Western world would be able to prevail at one point on the Israeli decisions, but as it seems also this is a difficult or weak possibility, and for that we keep trying in support of the effort done by the countries of the region, Egypt, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, and all others. We try to do that, but evidently there are other reasons that prevent Washington from responding in the way that we would like to see. Just to end my brief comment, I would say that we will continue to try. We will continue to push for not only for a ceasefire, but also for points that we see are extremely relevant, which are the prevention of forced displacement of Palestinians, either from Gaza or from the West Bank, and also the proper response to the dire humanitarian situation in Gaza. And I think Minister Shukri referred to that, and the efforts made by Egypt in that regard are, of course, well taken into consideration. But of course, the world and the Palestinians in particular will need to see more pressure on Israel in order to allow for this humanitarian aid to come in bigger quantities and as needed. So thank you. We thank you, Minister Hakan, for receiving us, for allowing this event to take place, and putting all the highlight on Gaza as it needs. And we thank also Turkey for all the effort that it has been doing. And I think hand in hand, this contact group that was created in the summit in Riyadh back in November 11th, joined from Arab and Islamic countries, I think will reach somewhere. We just hope that it reaches that point in due time and not too late. Thank you very much.
Brother, may I
please.
Just to intervene? We are all burdened by what is happening in Gaza, but we have to recognize that this is not the first time that this has erupted, and that we should not lose sight of the inherent cause of this conflict, which is 75 years of occupation. Mm-hmm. That occupation is the reason why there is turmoil and lack of stability in the region, that the inalienable rights of the Palestinian people have not been met, that their right to self-determination, their right to statehood. And until that is accomplished, we will be in constant cycles of instability and violence, in lack of a environment for all the peoples of the region, Palestinians, Israelis, everyone to live in peace and security. Without that being achieved, we are only dealing with the consequences of this lack of achievement. It is time that this fundamental issue is addressed. It is time to implement. It is time to recognize Palestine as a state, but not only in recognition. It has to be implemented. There are mechanisms are available to us, the Security Council under Chapter 7. There have been 30 years of negotiations. Everyone knows what the parameters of an equitable solution are and should be implemented, and thereby relieving of this constant cycle. I have to take leave of Your Excellency because of other engagements, so I thank you once again for this very important session and look forward to continuing to cooperate closely with the contact group. Egypt and Turkey, I believe, can have a very pertinent impact on this situation and on others. And again, I thank you for this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Any other questions? Professor? Yes. He has a plane to catch. Minister Shukri has a plane to catch. Just maybe we'll get one point. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Minister. You explained about this Gaza crisis. Either we will have the big peace or the big war. And I am Professor Mr. from the Presidential Advisor, the department. Mr. Minister explained to us, Israel doesn't recognize all kinds of civilization, even though international law, human rights, and they declare, and is a kind of pyramus inter pares. Israel against all the human civilization, all the human being, all the values, all the culture, even the religious. However, we see that there is a big problem. And then Mr. President is explained that Erdogan, we will try to solve it by using diplomacy and forum. And thanks to the Egyptian and Turkish Brotherhood, try to solve it throughout. However, you explained, Mr. Minister, there is two options. One is Israel is aimed to be occupy all the territory, and they didn't recognize any kind of the border. We don't know their intentions. How do you see Turkey's guarantee role? Today, Mr. President Erdogan explained all the international community. We try the peace together, Egyptian and also other brotherhood countries. How do you see asynchronous peace and stability in this area? Thank you so much.
The question is for
the Mr. The guest. Yeah, we know you, Mr.
Look, we do appreciate very much the excellent engagement, attention, camaraderie, friendship, support, sensitivity that Turkey has shown not only during this crisis but much before. And we always feel indebted to Turkey for all the work that they have done in order to see that the Palestinians receive their basic fundamental rights to self-determination, their freedom and their independence. Turkey has been engaged heavily in the exercise of inter-Palestinian reconciliation. And Turkey has invested heavily in order to see that that happens. Sometimes we feel that we are on the verge of success, and sometimes we are somehow disappointed to the outcome and to the result. But still, Turkey is determined to continue with its effort to do that. Now, there are many other countries that they have been lending hand to the Palestinians in order to overcome such difficulties. But at the end of the day, we should show our appreciation and thanks to Turkey, to all countries that they have been contributing and helping, either politically, financially, through aid, pressure, everything, including this contact group that they were my colleague ministers. They have spent their important hours and days working for the sake of Palestine, touring the world in order to explain the importance of taking attention to the situation in Gaza and how to salvage innocent Palestinian lives in Gaza. But you know, if I want really to look into the outcome, we have been engaging from day one, calling for what? We have been calling for a ceasefire. Now, after 146 days, have we achieved the ceasefire? No. So we have failed. We have failed, not we, not Turkey and Palestine, not the contact group, but the international community. The international community has failed to arrive at and to achieve a ceasefire, a very simple ceasefire. After 146 days, the whole world facing Israel and demanding and asking for a ceasefire, and they failed to impose a ceasefire. Very strange. Secondly, we have been working very hard to bring aid into Gaza. And people were saying, well, in normal days, 5,000 trucks were used to enter into Gaza. 500 will be good as a number. Today, only 50 trucks are entering into Gaza. And where? Only into the south. Not even one single truck to the north. Everybody wants to bring aid in. All countries, including Turkey, as we have seen in the videos, have sent thousands of tons of aid, humanitarian aid, to Arish, and in order from Arish to Rafah. Thousands of trucks are waiting Israel to say yes, to allow the trucks in. But Israel is using such aid, as a method to blackmail everybody else's. And what happens that Israel is using starvation as a weapon of war in order to pressure the Palestinians. If they don't die from the bombs, they will die from starvation and from thirst. Or they will be squeezed in order to be displaced and to go out of Gaza. So it's very clear that even trying, all of us, the whole world, to bring aid into Gaza, we have failed. After 146 days, we have failed to bring, at least to increase the number of trucks from 50 to 200, which is not a miracle. It's simple act, just to increase it from 50 to 200. The whole world has failed, and Israel failed us. Then we talked about protection. How to protect the people in Gaza, because the people in Gaza are right now exposed to all types of attacks. Either, classical military weapon or the non-classical military weapon, like starvation, like thirst, and lack of medicine and diseases and all of that. We were not able to provide protection to people in Gaza. They were crying, asking for protection, and we failed them. All countries in the world tried to provide protection, and Israel said no, and Israel succeeded in not allowing us, the whole international community, to bring, protection to people in Gaza. That's very important. Then, displacement. Israel has been keen to displace people from the north to the center, from the center to the south, from the south to the south of the south. And right now they want to kick them out from the south into Egypt. And we have tried to convince Israel not to displace them. We have tried to convince Israel to allow them to go back to the north. And the whole international community has failed. So imagine we are in a position where the whole world has a position in favor of protecting the Palestinians in Gaza, providing them with aid, calling for a ceasefire, preventing displacement, and because Israel says no, nothing happens. This is a test to us, the international community, and believe me, we have failed that test, and we have failed all people in Gaza. We have to stand up, we have to think about it, and we have to find ways how to reverse that action. Because if not, then people will die in Gaza more and more, and we will feel responsible for their death because we have surrendered to Israeli objection to that.
Well, thank you very much, brother. I've been told that our time is up. Unfortunately, I have to conclude our panel here. And Brother Shikri has already left because he has to catch his plane. And well, I thank to Brother Maliki for his excellent contribution and answers. And I thank you all for participating here.